Welcome back, everybody. This is the Pattison Report podcast. I'm Philly Brandon. That's Ryan. And this week, we're taking a little bit of a break from the, 6 or so weeks of Eagles heavy content. Because for once, the last week, nothing big really happened Eagle-wise. There were some rule changes in the NFL, which, maybe we can get into briefly. I like to think we're both on the same side with these. I think they're taking a lot of the contact out of football, and you're going to see a lot more flags and a slower product. But long story short is they added in the hip drop tackle as I believe it's a personal foul. Mm-hmm. And then the kickoffs will now replicate what the XFL has been doing with the kickoffs. Which, if you're not familiar, the whole play doesn't. The two sides have to line up directly opposed from each other, and you only have two returners back, and the rest of the team is both lined up directly opposed. If I'm not mistaken,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's supposed to cut down. From what I understand, it's supposed to cut down on the high velocity tackles from getting a full head of steam down the field. I don't know. I think that at this point, I love kickoff. I think some of the most electric moments were kickoff and punt returns. I mean, Miracle at the Meadowlands comes to mind. So many Devin Hester returns come to mind.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of leave it to kickoff and punts, leave them alone. But if you're going to start doing this gimmicky shit, I'm almost to the point where I just say just forget it.
I mean, if I saw what was correct with the kickoff rule, it's if they kick it in the end zone, it's out to the 35.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that because it's going to encourage teams to kick it in, to return more. The kickoff one, I'm like, the hip drop one is impossible.
It's going to decide a game, and it's going to be. It reminds me of. Sorry.
Have you seen the Mahomes meme?
No.
It's Mahomes on 4th and 25 getting hip drop tackled for a first down.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, that's the way it's going to be used. It reminds me of when you used to be able to, when you could briefly challenge PI, and it was a complete cluster.
God, that was a mess. But, they walked their way into that mess after that Saints game.
Yeah. So this feels like that. This feels like a time where the stripes are going to insert themselves into games and determine outcomes.
We need less of that.
I couldn't possibly agree.
The tournament, the Samford game has taught me everything I need to know about the refs.
Yeah, that was a clean block. Yeah, we haven't got it yet. We didn't even get into March Madness. We'll have to put that on the top of the docket for next week. Even though
by the time we do it, right?
No? Yeah, we'll have to do a recap. Wait, no.
No, it's next weekend. It's next.
Yeah, it's over on the 8th, so we still have next week.
I'm counting the days wrong. That's right in the Masters week. Oh my God, we're spoiled, man.
I know, but honestly, my favorite part of March Madness is already over. I watched the whole thing religiously, but the best is 64 and 32.
Can you guess who I had as my champion? Can you guess?
I want to say Auburn.
Oh yeah,
me too.
Oh, me too. Buddy.
You know what I'm sitting there thinking? I was like, defense wins championships. They're a good enough offensive team, but they're stifling on defense. This is a lock. And what do? They lose to Yale.
See, I went about it. I went about in the gambling sense where it was plus EV because everyone out of that region was going to choose either UConn or Iowa State. Obviously, two of those teams that are still alive, of course. But
you mean the other two? Yeah,
the other two teams that are still in it. But well, at least we have that to relate on.
Yeah, I felt good about it going in. I was like, man, and I'm looking at my bracket. Everybody's zigging. I was like, oh, okay, if they're going this way, I got to go this way. No one's looking at Auburn. You got to go Auburn.
The Ken Palm rankings, they were right there.
I know, and yet I ignored them. But March Madness notwithstanding, the biggest thing in Philadelphia right now is the hunt for Red October has commenced yet again. I'm all in. It was supposed to be today, but I'm just as happy it's tomorrow. It's almost I'm stoked for opening day. Do not get me wrong. But you just know what's at the end. I just want October baseball 24/7, 365. Like, I'm not ready to pull my hair out for 162 games like this team is going to make me do.
I mean, I don't think any of us are, but we kind of know what's at the end for us.
You hope. That's the thing, dude. I think you're right.
We're gonna see the Braves. We might see the Dodgers. I mean, they're both perennial playoff disappointments. But
yeah,
like we know what it's gonna be at the end.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to see the Dodgers. We never do. We're going to see the Braves because the Dodgers will be out by
then. Yeah. It's going to be the Diamondbacks again because they're still up and coming. I know they beat us and everything. It's going to be
they loaded up. They added Jordan Montgomery to that rotation.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that personally.
Not from our point of view. No,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But you'll have the Dodgers out there that'll get in. You'll have the Braves that'll get in, and then you'll have a couple of wild card teams, and whoever, God forbid, makes it out of the Central.
So that's the question is, I'm sure you saw JT Realmuto throw kind of the gauntlet down of, everyone knows what we can do when we get to the playoffs, but I'm tired of seeing the Braves win the division. Is this the year the Phillies finally topple the Braves for the division, or are we going to have to do this the hard way for the third straight year?
We're going to have to do this the hard way, I think, honestly.
I agree.
I mean,
there's something about this team. They don't take there's too many lulls in the regular season. The Braves don't have lulls.
And if Chris Sale is, a big of an impact as some think he might be, I know he's, injured coming off a couple off seasons.
I don't know. Yeah.
If he's a big impact, it's a definite no.
He reminds me of, remember when the Phillies tried to squeeze the last bit of juice out of Pedro Martinez?
Oh, geez.
That's what Chris Sale feels like at this point.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I'm just saying it goes from a most likely no to a definite no.
Yeah, you're right. If he's hot, you're right. But he's not even the Braves ace. I mean, we're going to see. God, I can't wait to see Strider.
We want Strider, yeah.
Strider, dude, those videos
cannot play in
bone chilling. No, I do. I don't know who can. I was watching a clip of Bryce Harper kind of giving a rundown of what they told Yamamoto to try and get him to come to Philly, and he was like, "Look, this isn't New York. This isn't LA. It's not all the glitz and the glamour and the bright lights and all that all season." But when you come to October, the lights are the brightest here. And I was like, man, that is chilling. And he's right. I mean, Buster Olney's been great about saying it. A lot of the national media guys have said it. It is the scariest place to play in October. It's like college football-esque when you think of LSU, Penn State, Michigan, like the worst places where you're afraid to go in and play.
It feels like a whiteout every playoff game, if I'm being honest. The seas of red.
Exactly, dude. It's awesome. But we got to get there first. And as much as we all love Red October, there's 162 games between us and it. And it all starts tomorrow with the changing of the guard, in a sense. For the first time in 6 seasons, Aaron Nola will not be taking the ball. That was passed on to Zach Wheeler as the new rightful ace of the Phils. What do you think about it? Do you care? Where's your head at with this?
I don't care. Like, honestly, they both got their bags. I don't think they care either. They're 1-2 for the foreseeable future. They know that, and they're good teammates with each other. So I'm just excited to see Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola just prosper this season. I hope Nola.
Hey, I hope Nola even year Nola. Even year Nola.
Yeah.
You go back and look at his career. For some reason, he loves round numbers.
I don't know why, but
me either. But it felt kind of weird to me. I wanted to see Nola get the ball. In a year where you've lost Rhys Hoskins, there's something about Aaron Nola seeing it through from when this team was dog shit back in 2017. I mean, do yourself a favor and go look up the 2017 opening day roster. I mean, you got Cameron Rupp starting at catcher, Tommy Joseph starting at first. Odubel Herrera was an up-and-coming bright spot. So I would like to see Nola continue to carry the torch of the guys who were here when we were bad. But there's no doubt Zach Wheeler is the ace on the staff.
Who was coming in the bullpen in Game 7 last year? Like, you knew that Zach Wheeler, he was the guy. He was unhittable for most of last postseason.
Yeah, and I think if you asked Aaron, I mean, they did ask Aaron Nola, and he said he's completely cool with it, and that Zach is, he's proven to be the guy. I just think it should have been more ceremonial than anything. Like, there's no question Zach's the ace. He's the number one. But I think it would have been a nice gesture to keep Nola's start streak alive as the only guy here from those dark days now that Reese is gone.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but you got to look past those dark days at some point. We've almost been at 2 straight World Series. I know with the heartbreak last year, heartbreak the year before that. Hopefully this year is different, but
I think that's when you turn the page. When you win the next one is when you turn that page.
Your Phillies.
And we finally have the roster that we're going to ride in the battle with for the most part. Taijuan Walker's not on because he'll start the year on the DL. Spencer Turnbull is going to take his spot in the rotation, but Walker is expected to come back and reclaim, from what I'm hearing, the 5th spot. But have you had a chance to look at the final? Okay. Most of the usual suspects, they're running with Rojas and Pache, which I think is the right call. Get Jay Cave out of here. I would have liked to have seen Pache start the season in center field. I thought he severely outplayed Rojas in spring training.
Yeah, that whole postseason kind of scars me from Rojas.
Yeah, he's a crazy good defender.
He's amazing in the field. He needs to work on the hitting. Maybe
just can't hit. But the thing about it is, like, we brought in Pache to be a defensive ace before we knew what Rojas was going to be. So you have a guy who's an A-plus fielder who can also hit. And I think we're just a little bit too enamored with Rojas's defense. But that's neither here nor there. The infield looks the same. Everybody's at their same spots. Edmundo Sosa is your backup, and then Whit Merrifield's your utility guy. Starting pitchers is the same, catchers is the same, and the relievers are mostly the same, except you're starting with Junior Marte and Ortiz rather than I think you're waiting for a couple guys to get healthy.
You mean best bullpen by Major League Baseball rankings?
Not the one we got out there right now. When we're healthy, yes. Marte and Ortiz are pretty bad. So I'm not stoked about them being out there at the moment. But once we're healthy, you're absolutely right. The top bullpen in the MLB.
Crazy how far we've come.
Who would have thought we'd ever see it?
Even close.
No. So this is actually an interesting one because they haven't committed to it yet. They're saying they're going to do it by committee. But who do you expect to be the closer this year if they do decide to name one guy?
God, huh? Well, thankful it's not that guy down in Baltimore.
No, although he looked pretty good. He added a change up after he left. But I'm glad we didn't pay him $13 million. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, you got to think it's got to be Alvarado, but at the same time, I love like those last years when you had him come in the 7th or 8th. You're like, okay, this is the 0. Let's flip the page and get our bats back up.
And that's why I think it's never going to be Alvarado. Although he's your best reliever without question. He's also your guy who puts out fires. You can put him in with 2 guys on in the 6th in a 1-run game, and he's going to freeze them right where they're at. I think I would like it to be Sir Anthony. I think he was a closer once. I'd like to see him find it again. But realistically, I think it's going to be Hoffman. He's your safest bet. He's consistent. He's done it before. He doesn't really seem to be afraid of the moment, so I think it'll be him. But I would like it to be Sir Anthony or Soto's a sleeper. Soto's got disgusting stuff. His control is just not great.
Mm-hmm. The more you mention it, the more I realize that we have some absolutely nasty lefties in our bullpen that not a lot of teams have. Like lefties are hard to come by. Don't get me wrong. Like quality lefties.
Yeah,
we have
Alvarado's probably the best in baseball from the left side.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got? Yeah, I'm glad they brought Strahm back. He doesn't get enough of the limelight, but he's consistent as can be, and he can eat innings. And he closed out the Braves series. People forget about that. And then Kerkering would be your other lefty, right?
I want to Soto with the control issues. It's just when he's on. When he's on,
it's unreal.
When he's on, he's insane.
Yeah. And that brings us to our next question. We have a couple of guys who had flashes last year who you think could take the next step. What's your breakout player of the year this year?
For one, it's so hard because we have so many established talents out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2/3 of the outfield, we know what we have there. Most of the infield, I mean, Bryson Stott was the guy last year. He just absolutely exploded into a fantastic player. So, gosh, I really do want to say Rojas figured it out with the bat. And if Rojas or Pache figures it out with the bat, we're gonna have an unbelievable lineup.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna hold you to it. Need a guy.
I want to say Rojas so bad. I think I'm gonna stick with it.
All right, Rojas, that's fair. I think that's a popular choice. We can figure it out. I would have liked to have seen him figure it out over the offseason and come in with a better spring.
Yeah.
I think it's Kerkering.
I like that.
I think last year you saw what he can be with no prep. I mean, he was never supposed to touch the bigs last year. So I like to think a full off season with Caleb Cotham, who's proved to be a really good pitching coach. Just the expectation that like you're going to have to pitch an MLB level. I mean, he's had a full off season to prepare for that level of competition. I think he comes in and he becomes, which I mean, I guess it's tough to say breakout, but I think he's your third best reliever this season. And
I like that.
I mean, behind Alvarado and Hoffman, that would qualify as a breakout for me.
Yeah, it would. I just realized I picked the only position player that I could. All the other 8 wouldn't count.
I think one I went back and forth with was Pache. I mean, he looked great in spring training. I mean, he could be somebody who's a force to be reckoned with.
I really want to go out on a limb here and say Bohm takes that next step into the true heights of third baseman.
Yeah. I mean, I would almost say his breakout year might have been last year.
That's what I'm saying, but I'm saying you take it to another level. Like I'm not going to qualify
to where he's like an all-star third baseman.
Yeah, like something like that. That'd be my kind of bold breakout prediction. I mean, I'm not changing my answer from Rojas. It's going to stay Rojas, but like I think he could take that next step, even if he hates it here. Even if he hates it
here, he'll never hate it here again.
Nah, dude. I don't know why more fans don't do what we do. Like
bullying works. I'm just saying.
Not necessarily that, but like when they admit their wrongs or they say or they're in a slump, the city somehow for the Phillies miraculously comes together and is like, let's shower this player with praise, and then they just turn it on. They turn the gears on.
Yeah, because it's so easy, dude. Like, and I mean, Bohm gets it. I think Castellanos did a pretty good job of getting it last year. I mean, obviously we're harkening back to the Eagles again, but I mean, Jason Kelce and BG both got it. I mean, those were 4 guys who at one point had horrible seasons and let everybody down.
But that's not even the ones you think about with the Phillies or just Philly in general. It's the Trey Turner half-season standing ovation.
That too, but I mean, Bohm is one for sure because think of how that could have been. Like if he says I hate it here, goes in the clubhouse, no media availability. That snowballs so quick if you don't get out ahead.
The team loses full, like kind of the Eagles last year, like you know what I mean?
Exactly. If you don't come out and go, look, I said it, I was pissed, I suck, I'm going to figure it out. Everybody in the city went, you know what? I felt that way. We're with you, man.
You know what? We really like this guy. That's what the city said.
It's not rocket science. The guys who don't work out here, who don't get it, are the ones like the Ben Simmonses. I'm trying to think of another good example of guys who flamed out publicly. Not so much James Harbaugh. I mean, just if you don't own it.
I was thinking Markelle Fultz, but then I realized that wouldn't count the whole injury thing and the whole front. That's a separate issue.
And he and Philly have been cool since. I mean, he's never said a bad word about the team. I'm happy to see him succeed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him succeed too, but like it wasn't necessarily like a work effort thing. It was the whole injury and then the GM being the GM and
we're not hard to play for. There's a reason that like all these athletes go out and recruit other people to play here. There's a reason Whit Merrifield decided to come off the bench in order to play for the Phillies rather than start anywhere else. This guy's a 3-time All-Star. and he came to a team he wasn't going to start because he wanted to be a part of whatever that special sauce and that magic culture they have in the clubhouses. So, I mean, I'm
He was
about
a
over
dog
here.
back in the day.
Dude, Merrifield's nice, and I think he's still got it. And he's such a huge upgrade over our utility guys of old. So I'm glad that he's here. But we have another team across the parking lot who is significantly less talented at the moment. Though honestly, no less fun to watch at times, and we'll get into Kelly Oubre in a second. Sixers lose an absolute heartbreaker. They played, I thought, really, really well until in the final 2 minutes. They have a couple turnovers that hurt, a couple blown calls that hurt a lot. But I mean, they took the Clippers. They gave the Clippers all they could handle. They did lose, so we sit in the 8th seed now. And every one of these games matters. We're a game and a half out of the 6th seed, which keeps us out of the play-in, but we only have 9 to go, and we have to play the Heat in that 9, which can help us make up some ground. But where do you think we land at this point? Is there a hope to get out of that play-in, or are we pretty much locked in to?
We're destined for the play-in. I don't see a way out with no Embiid.
Well, we'll get there. I think you're right. I think this team, as it sits, is a play-in team. Unfortunately, it's tough to watch them squander, such a lead. Where I think when Embiid went down, we were the 4. So it's really tough to see one guy be that important.
We knew.
It's Joel Embiid. He's 7'2". He's the best. He's the most dominant player in basketball at the moment. That being said, I really did think they'd be able to tread water without him. So it's a little bit disheartening to see how far we've fallen. But again, Melton's been out. Maxi's missed time. Batum's missed time. Covington's missed time. I mean, it's everybody. But the one guy who has been there night in and night out, it seems, is Kelly Oubre. I know you don't follow the Sixers quite as much, but
I saw that, though.
That was awesome. He plays really hard. I'll get into his game in a second, but dude, just going ref by ref. You're a bitch. You're a bitch. You're a bitch. Your mom's a bitch. Your grandma's a bitch. Good. Cool.
He left no crumbs.
It was awesome. And then you see Tyrese Maxey laughing, trying to hold him back. Like, dude, you're a clown. But dude, we're just talking about athletes who get it. Kelly Oubre Jr. gets it. He should play here.
Yeah. Imagine if we still have Pat Bev on the team when that was going down. Can you imagine the chaos that just would have erupted? Like, it was still chaotic, but like...
You're right. When that was going down, you're right. I still have Pat Bev. Pat's out for the season, so I'm glad we don't still have Pat Bev. He's injured for 2 to 3 months, which could be the season, could be the finals. But you're right. And in that moment, he would have been an absolute problem. But
hard to contain.
Yeah. But, I mean, Kelly Oubre had every right to be angry. The 2-minute report came out this morning. And, I mean, we all knew. If you watched the game, you knew it was a foul. It was clear as day. The refs missed it somehow. But the 2-minute report came out that he was fouled and he should have gotten 2 shots. The Sixers famously lost by 1. So that call did cost them the game. And that's why Kelly Oubre went through every ref's family lineage and called them all bitch. Justified, by the way. But when you watch this team, you wonder where we would be without him. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's been sensational. He's had to be. But Kelly Oubre Jr. is by far been the number 2 player on this team. And he's making a shade over $2 million, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've gone over Tobias at length, but there's other guys who get a lot of a pass. Batum has gotten a big pass. Since Embiid's gone out, he's been a shot himself. Buddy Hield. Like, you go out and get Buddy Hield, you think, okay, you're going to get a Robin to Tyrese's Batman. He's been pretty bad. He had a decent night last night, but, I mean, as bad as the team has been, if you take Kelly Oubre Jr. out of the equation, we're probably out of the playoff in general.
I totally agree. I mean, he's just been that spark, and, like, he's always been sort of a spark guy off the bench, but, like, now it kind of feels like he is what he needs to be at the moment, and he's given this team some as afloat as he could. Yeah, he's we've asked a lot more than we expected to. He was kind of supposed to come off the bench, but he's been great in the starting lineup. And we have, I think it was like 13 people listening live. I'm probably going to lose 7 of them here.
he reminds me of the role that Andre Iguodala used to play on this team. He is the best wing slasher, just aggressive athlete that we've had really since Iguodala. They tried to draft Evan Turner to do that. He never did. Sorry, Evan, I never even podcast. But Kelly Oubre is the closest thing to Andre Iguodala we've had since he left. I know the nostalgia side, Iguodala is probably a Hall of Famer. Kelly Oubre is not going to be. But he gives this team what Andre Iguodala used to give this team.
But if aliens are pointing a death beam at the Earth, would we take Kelly Oubre?
Oh, is that like the Max Kellerman thing?
Yeah, it is.
If you have to take the last shot, I'm taking Iguodala. He's a much better shooter than Oubre, so I'd still probably take Iguodala. Although Oubre's hurt, so I can't really say. But none of this is going to matter without the centerpiece. The lead singer, as Pat Bev called him, the big man, the process, what have you. Without Joel Embiid, this is a non-starter. When does he need to come back for us to have a chance, or is it already too late?
I think we're teetering on that. Oh no, it's too late period because he's gonna have to get back into game action. It's not gonna be right away, or he's playing 40 minutes a night. He's gonna have to warm up a little bit. So I think we're teetering on that edge. We are very close to the danger zone of just completely falling out of the playoffs. I think we're right on the edge.
I mean, so I agree with the time frame. We're unless we lose the next 9 in a row, we're pretty much locked into a playoff spot. We will at least get the play in
9 in a row.
But I think if Embiid doesn't get a 5-game ramp up into the playoffs, I don't think it's going to matter. So that means we would need him back by the end of next week to be able to hit that threshold just about. I don't know if that's going to happen. They asked Paul Reed today, how's Joel look? And he said he looks pretty healthy, which lends me to believe that Joel's busting Paul's ass in practice. But the conditioning's the thing. You're still not going to get 100% of Joel Embiid. You're just not. Not in the first round, not in the play. So I think there's still time. I think he's that good. I think 70% of Joel Embiid's good enough to get through the play-in. But think what our first round is going to be. We're used to coasting through the first round and getting through Brooklyn. Who the hell was it the other year? It was Washington once, which was bizarre.
For some reason.
Yeah, we're used to coasting through the first round. That's not going to be the case this year. You're going to have to open up with, depending on how we do, you're going to have to open up with Boston, Milwaukee. If you're lucky, the Knicks, but it's going to be right off the bat a tough road to hoe. So I don't know if he's going to be healthy enough for that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like a last season at this point, but you never count out Philly in a sense.
You still bring him back. I mean,
I still bring him back, but I'm just saying it kind of feels like a last season at this point.
It does a little bit. And I've heard the narrative of why rush him back. He's not healthy. He's still Joel Embiid. You bring him back and give yourself a chance. He's that transcendent. It's to the point where it's, he's to the point where it's, he's LeBron-esque in the sense, as long as he's on the floor, you got a shot. So, I think you bring him back. The Sixers team is better than when he got hurt. I love the addition of Kyle Lowry. Tyrese Maxey's coming to his own. We mentioned Kelly Oubre Jr. He brings something out of Nicholas Batum that no one else can. If he's on the floor, this team is scary. Mm-hmm. But how much of that's going to be Joel is the question. What's tough, and then we'll end on this. Do you remember, God, it might have been 3 – it was the year we beat Washington in the first round. So I think that's 2 seasons ago at this point. Joel missed the last month or so of the season and the first round, and Ben Simmons kept the ship afloat and got us through the first round. It is a little tough to know that he did that once, and I'm looking at this iteration of the team flounder the way that they are.
Yeah, I could see why. I mean, I think Max, you could never mind. You're just talking about the first round matchups. I conveniently forgot I was like, oh, Washington, easy. They have Jordan Poole, like
Yeah,
the company. So,
and I mean, and look, Joel's missed more time. So I mean, I think he missed a month of Joel at that point. We're coming up on month 2 without him. So I mean, I get it's a little bit different, but it is tough to kind of think about. Man, we hate this guy so much. I still do. I am on record as a Ben Simmons hater. This isn't me wavering.
I think the city is.
But it's tough to see that Joel went down. Ben kept the ship afloat. This year's team, Joel goes down, and all hell kind of breaks loose.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it was the Wizards, though.
I mean, I'm not just talking about the first round of the playoffs. I mean, like
you're talking about the rest of the season. I mean,
yeah, I mean that team won 50 games.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So that's a little bit tough to reconcile. I'm not saying that Tyrese hasn't done everything we've asked him to do, but it's tough to wrap your head around how we did it once with a less talented guard.
That's fair.
But we will see. Sixers have 9 games left. Phillies are just starting their long haul. We're working on doing a hockey episode here coming up because for those of you who do follow hockey, the Flyers might finally be getting some goaltending help. They've had a goalie prospect, I guess, as it were, Fedotov, stuck overseas for years now, and he was just let go of his Russian contract, so there's a chance that he comes over and gives them some help. So we'll work on doing a little bit more Flyers content coming up. But for the time being, go Phils, Sixers, just please hang in there.
Please, we beg.
Until next week, I'm Brandon. That's Brian. We will see you all on the other side.